My name is Krystal Geyer. I was in the 4th grade. I'm 29 now, so I don't know what year that was, 96-ish? My bachelor's degree in English and a master's in student affairs. I'm the student programs manager at the TCO, Technology Commercialization Office. As part of my role, I run our internship program, I run a startup competition, and I also run a program that involves taking commercializing actual science that came out of the lab, so the process of taking something from the bench to market. So I teamed up with the Department of Academic Affairs. They have an honors and scholars program that's recognized through the university. There are 17 scholars programs now, so I created one of those scholars programs. And part of the program involves doing 20 hours of community service. And so I wanted to find something that was relative to the I.C.E. theme, and I remembered doing Invention Convention myself when I was young, and I thought these students, my students, would be perfect judges, would be perfect mentors for the younger inventors and the younger students, whether or not they've gone through Invention Convention before. But my students have definitely the innovative mind and the desire to invent and the desire to change the world. So I reached out to the Invention Convention and I said, as an alumni, I believe in what your program's doing, and I see how it has applicability from the 4th grade to what my college students are doing now. So we have teamed up with Invention Convention to provide service in as many ways as we can. So whether that's going to the assemblies, going to the regional events, serving as mentors, helping to prep, getting engaged in social media, all of that. Some of the things that my students need the experience with and may have some of the, maybe a broader knowledge of. I have been in the automatic stamp letter. The problem I was trying to solve was the stickiness, the disgusting taste that you got, and I just thought it had to be so much easier. You just pull them off. This is obviously long before they invented the sticky ones, but it would pull off of a little dowel rod, you tap it on a sponge, and then you could put it right onto your letter. My mom was opening up a business at that time, so she was constantly dealing with bills and more paperwork than I think I'd ever seen before. So I just started to look around my house to see what is a problem that we could work on solving. At the time, I remember being frustrated because it was hard to come up with a problem, but actually, since coming into my current position, I work with a lot of student entrepreneurs and I teach problem-based entrepreneurship. Somebody had asked me what my experience was with entrepreneurship, and I got to thinking, and I was like, I don't have any. I've never run a business. I don't have a business acumen. But then I started going through previous things that I've done in my life, things like the Invention Convention and starting student organizations in college, and I realized that those are also entrepreneurial ventures that I didn't really connect because I wasn't making money off them, and they weren't necessarily in the business realm. But I do realize that I have that sort of entrepreneurial spirit through things like that. One of the things that reaching back out to Invention Convention and getting connected with what they do and just the whole purpose behind the program really aligned with what I wanted to teach my scholars, which was not just creating something for the sake of creating it, but actually doing problem-based entrepreneurship. So figuring out what's a problem that I can solve. Something I usually ask my students is, why does this situation, how could the situation be improved? So that's what I want them to take away, and so that I wanted them to see that from everywhere from a 4th grader to a Fortune 500 company, they're all doing problem-based entrepreneurship. I think that some of the young minds that participate in Invention Convention are so important because they don't realize all of the limitations. They don't know what can and can't be done, as some of us adults tend to do. So I wanted to put my students in that situation also, to think beyond the limitations and just go for it. I want them to reopen their eyes to what's possible, to not get bogged down in this isn't possible because of FDA regulations. I just want them to see. I also want them to see how far you can get with just a crude prototype. I know that the students in Invention Convention aren't getting things manufactured. They're creating prototypes out of things that they have in their home. And I want my students to realize that that's possible. That sometimes the best prototypes are just made out of duct tape and pipe cleaners. but you can really convey your invention through things like that. I also want them to recognize the importance of fostering creativity and innovation in younger minds, because it's a nationwide trend that more and more students are getting into entrepreneurship early, and I want them to realize that now's the time to do it. That there's no age too young to start inventing and to start creating things. Here at TCO, we seek to find a commercial path for all of the research that happens at Ohio State. So we handle all of the inventions, all of the new intellectual property, literally all of the research that goes on at Ohio State, whether that's from the James Cancer Center, the Department of Chemistry, or the Center for Folklore Studies. We look for a commercial path for all of that. We have in-house people who handle all the patenting, all the license negotiations. We generally make money off of new technologies by one of two ways, either licensing it to an existing company or licensing it to a new startup and launching a spin-off company. We have a team dedicated just to creating new businesses. They find the human and the financial capital to get that startup off the ground, and we follow them for as long as we can to try to ensure their success. We also have a software prototyping center that works on web and software-based technologies. We span the gamut, so we're looking for a commercial path for everything from buttons in the costume department to new medical devices. Faculty members, clinicians, anybody in the lab or anybody inventing things at Ohio State will submit an invention disclosure to our office, and we send it through a certain triage looking for its marketability, patentability, and its valuation. And then we look at everything through a startup lens to see if it's a platform technology that could span across multiple markets, or if the market's large enough that it could be a standalone company. Always looking for a problem and not just creating something just to create it, but figuring out if there's a market for it, if there's a need, and if it really is making some